Oh, please.
Oh, it says we're live.
Okay. It says mine, it's still setting up. Hey, hey, redirecting. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, looks like we're on. This is a new platform for me, and to know that I am on Facebook Live right now with a very famous doctor of neuroscience, this is very exciting for me. So thank you guys for joining this today. This is my first time to ever to do a Zoom Live, so I welcome you as you join us and share this. You guys, if you have anyone in your world that you would love to hear some about brain health, the science of brain, brain function, analyzing brain mapping, ADD, ADHD, and many other conversations, be sure and share this with them, get them on this call, because we're gonna have a lot of fun here. Let me give a little bio about Dr. Jeffrey Fannin here. And then I'm gonna ask him a question, and we're gonna launch in. So thanks again for joining us. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Dr. Jeffrey Fannin holds a PhD in psychology, an MBA and Bachelor of Science degree in mass communications. He is the founder of a clinic and research center, Thought Genius LLC. He's in Glendale, Arizona. He has worked in the neuroscience field, researching and training the brain for over 23 years. Dr. Fannin is an international speaker, authority, and author in the field of optimal brain performance and cutting-edge neuroscience research. He is about to be a Pro 3 in the company that we're both in. I'm very excited. He is starting his third month in the business here in March. Now, this past year, he's been in a movie, PGS, Intuition, the movie, that has been playing in theaters around the world and is available to rent or own, so check that out. There's also a book on Amazon about the movie. He's traveled the world doing brain maps on over 4,000 individuals, as well as consultations with them. He also works in his clinic with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and many other conditions. Now he's got over 14,000 followers on Instagram, so that right there for you social media people know that that's kind of a big deal. And you get to hear from Dr. Fannin today. So Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, first of all, thank you for taking the time. It's so exciting to have you here on the Zoom with us today. And people care about their brains, and they want to know more about their brains and the health of brain scientists. So I just am going to first of all ask you a question. I'm going to let you just launch on in. So how, oh, come on, tell us, how as a neuroscientist did you ever hear about this Nrf2 activation? As a brain mapping expert, go share with us how you found out about it.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, I never dreamed that I would be where I am right now and doing this sort of thing. So I've done a lot of things in my life, and I was doing a brain map with the gal who enrolled me. Her name is Mary Bach, and we were doing a brain map in my office, and she saw a pamphlet that I had sitting there about inflammation and various tests that we can do with people. And she said, let me introduce you to something. And so she started texting me some stuff, and after we had done the brain map. And one after another, after another, after another, just kept coming. And so I started looking at this and saying, well, there might be something here. This looks very interesting to me. So then I got on PubMed and PubMed.gov and started looking at some of the research and reading it. And I was amazed at the number of peer-reviewed papers that are out there on the Nrf1, Nrf2, stuff on Axio. So I was really interested in all of that because I started looking at it, and it was very, very deep science. It was very good science. And having written a couple of peer-reviewed papers, I know what you have to go through in order to get something peer-reviewed. So the fact that they have 26 peer-reviewed papers, excuse me. So recently I was up in Salt Lake City, and it was 22 degrees. The only thing that possessed me is my sister invited me up there. And I spent some time with Dr. Chevreau up there. And so I'm not used to the cold weather going up there from Arizona. So forgive me if I'm coughing a little bit, but I have my Axio and that'll get me through.
Cheers.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I spent about 3 weeks reading the research and everything I could get my hands on. And it's like, this is real stuff. So then Mary signed me up on, excuse me. Sorry about that.
No sorries needed.
He enrolled me at 12:01 on New Year's Day. So I said, I can't stay up that late. I never stay up for New Year's. And so we both set our alarms, and she called me, before midnight, and then we signed up. So she enrolled me right there at the, so I don't know if I'm the first one in 2019 to enroll or whatever, but it was kind of fun. She wanted to do that, and that sounds great. So she's a great person to work with, Pro 7 in the business here. And so it's really great to work with her. So that's kind of how I got involved in getting signed up with her.
So after you got involved, you saw the science, and it's kind of blowing your mind, because being a researcher, you've done your own PubMed publications. You knew that this is legit. So then what took place next? You decided to do a test. And what took place on this test? As some people have seen this, many have not. So share with us what took place and what your thoughts were about this.
Yeah, Maria Williams is kind of my mentor, and Carrie Williams as well. And so Maria had an idea. She says, well, let's just, can you do an interview? And I was sitting in my office doing some work, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? So we did it in one take. It's just like, all right, roll it, let's go. And that's the video that's out there. And I guess it's gone viral from what people are telling me, which is pretty amazing. But working with this young man, let me share my screen here a little bit with you and
Please
show you
do.
that this is his before taking Nrf1, Nrf2, and Axio. And then the one on the right is his brain map after doing this regimen for about 12 days. Now, you don't have to be a neuroscientist to know that the red down here is not good. This is busy, active, thinking mind that's going on. The green means everything is in normal. This up here in 4 and 5 hertz, that's his ADD. Over here in the blue, this is what we call the default network. So that's common with all human brains. They all kind of work the same way. So it's sort of on standby, like, call me if you need me kind of thing. So when I saw this, after doing this for 23 years, and I'd never seen this before, something that quick, I thought about it and tried to explain it away, and, could be the cap, could be this, that. And I couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation. So I said, well, let's get outside the paradigm here, and started looking at it from a quantum physics point of view. Now, I won't get deep in quantum physics here, but I just want you to understand what my theory is about this right now, based on what I know and what I've read about Nrf1, 2, and Axio. So when we look at the cells of the body, 600 million trillion cells, and those cells have to be a dynamic function. So in other words, they have to be communicating with each other, all of the cells, all of the organs, this dynamic function, in order to make it dynamic and being able to communicate. The basis of that is coherence. And so I was able to look at this young man's coherence, and that's his amplitudes. So let me back up here. This is his coherence before we put him on the regimen. And again, you don't need to be a neuroscientist. You can look and see, well, that's really not so good. So when we looked at him after being on the Nrf1 and 2 and for 12 days, we see this. And so it's comparing it to the normative database of over 4,200 people. And where there are very few lines or no lines at all, it means it's functioning within the normal range. So his coherence, or his ability to, his cells to communicate, that's what I was beginning to see here in, let me get back to that brain map here. There we go. In the difference in the brain maps of why it would happen so quickly, because it was happening down at the molecular element of our cells. And so that made good sense to me why the activators that are happening in Nrf1 and Nrf2, because I did some research back in 2015 on energy healing. And that's one of the peer-reviewed papers that's just about ready to come out. They've given me a few more things that they want explained before they put that up on PubMed. So, but we found some very, very interesting things, and coherence was at the core of all of this. So my background and training just kind of said, well, let's look at it from coherence. And so we did. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. This worked the way it did. Now, will it work this way for everybody? I don't know. But we're going to continue to do some research to find that out. And different people at different ages, it's a very, very interesting topic to help people get their brain back to that function that they would like to have. Now, behavior is a different issue. So with this young man, there are some behavioral issues and some learning issues because there are gaps in his learning and his training because of the ADD. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Does that make sense?
So this is like beyond mind-blowing in it's part of the pun, but yeah. Beyond mind-blowing literally, because what we know about Nrf2 activation scientifically now you studied the science of it, and the fact that you have the ability to measure some responses to a young man's body with Nrf activation. I mean, as a neuroscientist, how do you find this has kind of shifted your thinking in the way you now do and relate to your patients, to your clients that come in, and what you have to offer them? Is this just like, did you ever think something like this could happen in your lifetime, in your practice?
No, not at all. I mean, I've literally changed my practice in the way that I do things. And Dr. Brett Brimhall, who many of you know of him, and he told me one day, he said, what kind of a doctor would I be if I weren't sharing this? And that really hit home for me. And I thought, you know, I've worked all my adult career working and helping people and so forth. And what kind of doctor would I be if I'm not sharing this, at least from a different perspective for people?
Oh my, that is amazing. Now, can we shift the conversation just a bit about coherence and go into what the science of coherence is? And in regards to another client of yours that's given you full permission to share this, you have another way of measuring what's happening inside of somebody's body when they begin to get Nrf2 activated. And you had another mind-blowing response that you shared with me. Can you share a little bit of what that means, just in brief, as we kind of wrap up our conversation? There's so much more to be said, you guys that are watching this. And
absolutely.
And Dr. Jeffrey has promised he's going to come on, because I'll share where else he goes, and maybe we could cut this short because he's we don't want to use up all your air in your lungs, but we know what it's like having colds. But if you would, we would love to share.
Yeah, no problem. This next one I'm going to show you deals a little bit more with the coherence and energy and so forth. Many of you probably aren't familiar with what's called GDV, Gas Discharge Visualization. And what that means is when you put your finger down on the camera lens of the device, then it shoots a 10 millivolt charge up onto your finger. And 10 millivolts is so small you don't even feel it, but it causes the discharge to happen. And there's over 30 years of research This equipment is used in clinics and hospitals all over Europe in helping to understand the energy in the body. And so we can also measure the chakras. So let me bring up this and go here. So this individual is a good friend of mine. He's one of my distributors now, and he is suffering from prostate cancer. So he's given us permission to use these slides and talk about it wherever I need to. So we see the chakra centers, and they're all out of a line. So the size of the chakras depends on how much energy is there. Wait a minute, I don't want to go there yet. There we go. I was touching my mouse and it moved everything forward. So put the mouse down, Dr. Fannin. So, this lineup here is based on a normative database of over 5,000 individuals. And so we're using his demographics, male, female, left, right hand, age, those kinds of things to indicate where does he fall in relationship to other people that are kind of in the same demographics as he is. So we can see, particularly down here in this chakra is kind of displaced and smaller than the rest. And we can see actually the numbers that are attached to each one of these chakra centers. So we had to, once we got approval from his oncologist to go ahead and he had to finish up the pharmaceuticals that he was on. And he looked at the ingredients and said, yeah, it's okay to go ahead and do this. And so we put him on the regimen, and he was on here for about 11 days. So here, after 11 days of being, and we only had him on the Nrf2 and the Nrf2, trying to isolate a few variables here. Now, you can see the difference in the chakras, and up here it is crown chakra, is displaced slightly to the left. Well, this guy sometimes doesn't trust the information and intuition, even though his intuition is strong, but the information that's coming to him, sometimes he doesn't trust it. But you can see all of these numbers are above the line. So he's doing better than most people that are in his condition. And then you see this one down here in the sacral chakra, and how that is now, the energy has gotten bigger and it is moved. Okay, so we started looking at why is that possible? Now, when we compare them side by side and look at the changes that happen in 11 days. So I go back to that theory of mine that it's happening at the molecular level in the coherence. So I have a device that we can use to determine what is a person's coherence. So we would hook him up to the device. He would just use this because you can hook it up on your ear and have a app on your phone, and then it will record this. So we had, we go back to January 31st. That's how new this is. And you have low coherence, you have medium coherence, you have high coherence. So we'll just kind of focus on his high coherence here, which was at 57%, and his average coherence was at 1.5. You know, and I can tell you that's not really great when you look at the graph here. He's, you know, just not really doing that great. All right, so let's go a few days further when the on February 2nd, so he's still at 57%, but his average coherence has gone down to 1.4. So now the Nrf1 and 2 starts kicking in. And here we are, February 8th, and he's at 100%, but his average coherence went up from 1.4 to 4.3. Now, that's pretty amazing. So we go 2 days later when we ended the study, and we see he's still at 100%, but it continued to go up, and now it's at 5.9% coherence. So
So can I interject a question here?
Yeah.
So he started the Nrf2 and Nrf1 at that January 31st. So we've got a pretty short window, but you're seeing some progressive changes in his coherence as, and as you had shared with me, that his body most likely was beginning to respond on a molecular level, on a cellular level, which is also a quantum level. And these are the kind of changes that were beginning to take place in his body. Is that what you are showing us scientifically by these results, that his body is beginning to respond?
It would certainly seem so to me, as we look at, different people, different age ranges using the same product, basically, and seeing what it does in their body. Now, here's some really other interesting information that we were able to determine. So over here on the left side of the screen, you're seeing his emotional energy, and on the right is his physical energy. So we see integral area. This is how well is your body producing the energy. And the energy that we're talking about is the mitochondria. So there's a relationship between the mitochondria and the microtubule in the cell. And that's what creates the biophotonic energy that we're able to measure here. And so in emotional energy and physical energy, he's still doing very well. He's in the green, is where we want him to be. The next one down here, the integral entropy, is how well is this individual doing using that energy. So emotionally, he's doing very well, but physically he's up a little bit into the yellow, meaning physically he's having to deal with some other issues. And this is, let me back up here just a little bit, show you this. So what we're seeing is this right down here. And that
and would you say that that's in his prostate region?
Well, I can't say for sure. I can't give you any kind of conclusiveness on that.
That was just my question.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. Now, did it cure his prostate cancer? No, that's a process. But we know that the energy is getting there. So let's take a look at the other one here, which is called activation coefficient. How is he handling the daily stressors that we all deal with? And I think this is really important, is down here, we have 0.58 and he's in the pink. That means he's in protection mode, like most of us would, and we're dealing with all of the things in our environment and our food and, being distracted and don't have time to fit one more thing in our schedule and on and on and on. You all understand that. Now, watch what happens here. So we go to the end of this study and we see he's still producing good energy. And here physically, this is a little higher. Now it's a little higher, not because of his prostate cancer, but because he started walking 2 miles a day and going to the gym 3 times a week. So he's expending more emotional energy. It's not balanced yet, but we see the reason for it. Now, here's the big thing for me. When we look at the activation coefficient, where he was down here at 0.58, now he's up in the green and it's 2.48. Now, that's about a 6 times multiple. That's incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah, when you look at those things.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So this is about mitochondrial health now.
Yeah.
And so you guys, you that are watching this may be just too geeky for you. Some of you are eating this up. I know I'm just eating it up. I love this. But either way, this is a measured study, you guys, what you're looking at here that Dr. Fannin is sharing with us. And we've just now seen some medical research, neuroscience research in that of a 15-year-old. And here we're looking at of a grown man, and how the bodies are responding to what we have in Nrf2 activation. And Dr. Fannin, I'm sure there's a lot more yet to be had and a lot more research. And I know we've already gone past the time. I thought trust me, Dr. Fannin and I could keep talking to you about this for a very long time. And we're gonna have a part 2 to this, because there's more to this story in the expertise that this genius has. And trust me, he has Axio on his table right now, as I do. And when you're talking to a neuroscientist, I tell you what, you want to drink Axio.
Even the neuroscientist drinks Axio.
Even the neuroscientist drinks Axio. So you could stop sharing the screen if you'd like. So let's just wrap this up, and so they can see your face up close. And
Okay.
And what an amazing human being. For one, that you love people enough to want to see people's brains and lives improve. I mean, you guys, who goes after his whole life to be a neuroscientist? Only but somebody that cares about the brain and about the brains of individuals and wants them functioning at peak performance. Isn't that what you do? And you also, because you are an intuitive, you teach intuition, how that works in your body even, and now measuring intuition in the body. You guys, that's going to be the conversation. That's going to be our PS conversation, and hope our second interview going to be coming up here, because we're going to be talking more about that and how the body even responds to that God-given intuition. And we're going to talk a little bit more about coherence on our next one too, because there's something to do with the heart and coherence that I have learned, and I'm learning more. All I know, you guys, is that because of meeting this wonderful man, I'm going to keep drinking Axio, and I'm going to keep taking Nrf1 and Nrf2, and I'll be on it for the rest of my life. So again, in conclusion, what you have discovered, 3 months of your life, do you feel like your whole career has been kind of like, not only?
I feel like I've been training for, I feel like I've been training for this my whole life. And so when this company came into my life, it's like, boy, I'm tailor-made for this, to help people and to do what I do and have lots of research and things that I can show and relate it very specifically to this. I'm just very, very pleased and so appreciative of Mary enrolling me, and the people who are around me who are mentoring me, and Maria Williams and Carrie Williams and other people. I couldn't be around better people, and it not only it motivates me to do good science, but it motivates me as a person, as a human being, to know that that I'm around this quality of people who are health conscious, who are striving to be better than they are and overcome the things that are holding them back. And those are the people I want to hang out with. Those are the people I want to spend time with. And so I feel very, very blessed, the fact that I'm able to do that now.
Oh, there is no more that needs to be said. All I know is that I am very blessed to have met you and to be able to be in partnership with this company, with amazing doctors like you. So those of you that are watching this, that are going to see this, that from Dr. Fannin and his world, and that are sharing it from people that know and love you, that are sharing this to you, you guys, this is the caliber of science that is being drawn to Nrf1, Nrf2, and Axio. And it's because of a friend of his that shared it with him, a neuroscientist shared it with him, and literally has changed his world. Now he's going to change hundreds of thousands of more lives because of being introduced to this. So the timing, would you say, doctor, that the timing of you finding out about this, the timing of where this company is with the science is absolutely.
Yeah, I would call it serendipity. The universe just guiding me and directing me, saying, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to get in the game and go use what you've been training for your whole life. That's just,
it's beyond description of what this has. So thank you all that have joined us on Facebook. Thank you for sharing this and sharing it and sharing it again. I hope you have gathered a lot of value from it, because I know I have gathered so much value by meeting and knowing this man. And I hope what he has shared with you has blessed you, and it'll bless others and encourage others to take it from the doc. I'll tell you. And I'm actually going to go and have my own brain mapped by this human being, this amazing doctor. I can't wait for that. That will be yet to probably another live video, I'm sure. But join us again. We're going to come back maybe in a week, and we're going to share some more mind-blowing science with Dr. Fannin. So Dr. Fannin, thank you for sharing your heart, sharing your science with all those, our friends on Facebook. This has already been shared and shared and shared alike, and I'm sure it's going to be shared abroad because there's value here. And we value you. I'll look at you because you're on that side of me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and letting me explain some things to your audience. It really is a privilege to do that.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be the audience of a whole lot more, and hopefully many people will be blessed by this and want to get back with a person that's shared this with them as well. So God bless you all, Facebook friends and family, for joining us, and we'll call this a wrap.
All right.